Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast, session 31. How to use definite articles in Spanish. Welcome to a new session of Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast. In today's session, we will learn about using definite articles in Spanish in real life. Although this is one of those topics mastered with practice, knowing the overall structure of definite articles in Spanish will make things easier for you. Today's episode is brought to you by 15-Minute Spanish Listening Mastery. Would you like to understand more spoken Spanish in real life? You can practice your listening skills for free with the 2-week free trial available at SpanishForYourJob.com/mastery. Get your 2-week free trial of listening materials to help you understand more spoken Spanish at SpanishForYourJob.com/mastery. Okay, let's get started. How to use definite articles in Spanish. In simple terms, articles are words used with nouns, and nouns are generally things or people, to specify the degree of definiteness of a statement about the noun. Although in English the article the is considered the only definite article, in Spanish there are 4 definite articles that must match the gender and number of a noun, which is a thing or a person. The definite articles in Spanish are: first, the singular ones. The masculine singular definite article is el, and the feminine singular definite article is la. Now, the plural ones. The masculine plural definite article is los, and the feminine plural definite article is las. In Spanish, you generally use a definite article that matches the gender and number of a noun whenever the article the is used in English, most of the time. Here are a few examples. The dog is pretty. El perro es bonito. Perro, which means dog, is a masculine singular noun, and that's why we use the masculine singular article el at the start of the sentence. Let's review a few other examples. The plane is fast. El avión es rápido. Avión, which means plane, is a masculine singular noun, and that's why we use the masculine singular article el. Let's keep going. The cow is walking. La vaca está caminando. Vaca is a feminine singular noun, and that's why we use the feminine singular article la. Another example. The movie is fun. La película es divertida. Película, which means movie, is a feminine singular noun, and that's why we use the feminine singular article la. The dogs run. Los perros corren. Perros is a masculine plural noun, and that's why we use the masculine plural definite article los. The planes fly. Los aviones vuelan. The cows sleep. Las vacas duermen. The movies are long. Las películas son largas. However, there are cases when Spanish uses definite article in circumstances when they are usually not required by English. There is one additional exception to keep in mind. When a feminine and singular noun in Spanish begins with a stressed a, an a with an accent, or ha, the masculine definite article will be used. It is important to keep in mind that this only applies to feminine and singular nouns in Spanish that begin with a stressed a with an accent, or ha, and not all feminine and singular nouns in Spanish that start with the letter a. This exception is not used frequently, so keep in mind it exists and move on. Here are a few examples of exceptions. First, a singular noun. The water. El agua. Here's a plural example. The waters. Las aguas. Here's a singular example. The axe. El hacha. The axes. Las hachas. The eagle. El águila. The eagles. Las águilas. Now, let's review a few simple shortcuts you can use to make things easier in real life. In general, whenever you use the article the in English, you can add a definite article in Spanish that matches the gender and number of the corresponding noun, which is a thing or a person. Let me say that in a different way. In most cases, if you have a phrase in English that has the article the in it, in Spanish, you can add a definite article such as el, la, los, or las to replace the article the depending on the gender and number of the noun. Here are a few examples. The dog runs. El perro corre. This is a singular masculine noun, perro, which is dog, and that's why we use the singular masculine definite article el. Let's look at a few other examples. The dogs run. Los perros corren. The chair is expensive. La silla es cara. The chairs are expensive. Las sillas son caras. That's all for today's session of Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast. Practice using these articles in short phrases at first, and work on creating longer sentences as you start to feel more confident. By the way, if you would like to learn Spanish faster by learning the 100 most common words in spoken Spanish, you can visit SpanishForYourJob.com/common words, where you will find a list of the most common words used in spoken Spanish. To access the list of most common words, you can visit SpanishForYourJob.com/common words. Also, if you would like to review a text version of this session, you can access a PDF transcript of this session at learningspanishforbeginners.com/30. 31. Thank you for listening to Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast. If you're enjoying this, please leave a review and share it with one friend who also wants to learn more Spanish. See you next time. Hasta la próxima.